going.
I was about to pull that. I'm literally in the Google search bar. Oh my god, we spent so much time together. Our brains work the same way.
You know what the funniest part though is? Okay. Should we just start? We should start this, right? I mean, because I want to start talking about certain things, and I feel like
let's get this started, because even
right.
this conversation right now is really...
Yeah, we're already kind of getting into it. So I do want to introduce us first off. Welcome to technically the second half of the Neon Valley podcast, but...
Part 2.
Yeah, part 2.
But also its own video for anybody here just for the review. You're still at the right place. Don't worry.
Yeah, it is non-required viewing to see the first part or listen to the first half, but you should anyway. But no, we ran over a little on time for our normal podcast episode where we talk about movies and a specific movie of the week, and we wanted to give this one a little more time to actually talk about, so we didn't want to rush it into like a little 20-minute, 30-minute blurb. Who knows? This might only end up being a half an hour long. God knows. But at least we won't feel rushed, or be overly tired. Yeah, right, exactly. But yeah, my name is Tyler, or I also go by Skorge.
And I'm Mitchell, and I also go by Tsuku.
I'm leaving the door open for you, buddy.
I wanted to pause for suspense because I really wanted to set everybody up for just, whoa, there's a pause already? We haven't even got to the movie part.
Or
got some M. Night Shyamalan level.
You know what I probably would have done, though?
Here.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't have thought that. I would have done that thing where I look up at my Spotify or on my YouTube to see if I accidentally paused it, or if like an ad came on that doesn't have any sound. Like that. I can't tell you how many times that happens when there's an awkward pause in a podcast I'm listening to, and then I look at my phone to see like, wait, did my Bluetooth disconnect? And then they start talking again, and I'm like, oh shit, okay.
This just got really meta for anybody listening right now.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to be talking about a movie you requested last week that I had not seen.
Yes, I did.
Called A Silent Voice. Or as the beginning title says, The Shape of Voice. That threw me off. I thought I put on the wrong movie for a second.
You know what is interesting? At the very end of the movie, right before the credits, it also says The Shape of Voice. I don't know if maybe it's a translation thing or if that is... what? I would be speculating. It
might be, because here's the thing. One thing I did want to mention that doesn't really have anything to do with the movie, but it might impact your experience watching it. So this is a kind of shout out for people who maybe haven't seen it that happen to be watching this or listening to this. Either watch it, and I watched it on Netflix, by the way, so it might be different on Crunchyroll. I want to point that out.
No, I watched it on Netflix as well.
Okay. Only watch it with Japanese vocals and English subtitles, or English vocals with no subtitles. Because the subtitles for English are so different than the English like redub that it's actually distracting sometimes.
What? Yeah.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, wordings for stuff is entirely different, and like some characters aren't even called the same things at certain parts. So I'm trying to keep track of who's saying what but like, because me and Audrey always have subtitles on. We're one of those people. I get it. Shut up. But we almost always have subtitles on. And so I just didn't turn it off when it started. And then I started noticing like, wait, that's not what they said. And like, so what I think is the subtitles are like a direct translation, you know what I mean, from the Japanese, while the American like dub, the English dub, is actual like what they wanted to make it for the redub. It's not a direct translation. It's an actual like, okay, if we wanted to pace this out better, like what, like real quick, like at one part, which again, I guess we're not getting into spoilers or anything, but at one part, a character says, in the actual like English dub, she says, "So what, you think you're some kind of hero?" But then in the Japanese translation to English in the subtitles, it said, "Do you think that makes you a good person?" And I felt like that makes more sense. That hits better than like, because when she said, "So you think you're some kind of hero?" I was like, what? I was like, what does that have to do with anything? But when I saw the subtitle, it said, "Do you think you're some kind? Do you think that makes you a good person?" I was like, oh well, yeah, that's what he's trying to do. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I wonder if I wonder if that's impartial, if that is partially due to making sure that the sentence fits in enough space so that way it looks like they're still talking. Whereas maybe the original translation would take longer in English to say, and the scene would have already had cut to another part. That just an assumption.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, because my only assumption was just that, like I said, like the subtitles are a direct translation of the Japanese, while the redub in English is actually them like rewriting it to make sense in English. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes direct translations don't really make sense. You know, it's like
Right.
there's kind of like missing context. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. And it made it hard to, like I said, to keep track of the characters because I know it's Shoya is our main character. I
Yep.
guess we'll start off by saying that. I guess we could talk. You wanna talk about a little bit like what the movie's about? You want to start that off?
Yes. So, A Silent Voice is about a boy and a girl because it really does become a big portion of her story throughout as well.
Yeah.
Shoya and Shoko, who are both, they say is, oh, there's two shows in the class the first day she shows up. But she's a girl who is deaf, so she can't hear, and because of that, she is bullied. One of the ones that does the bullying, if not a lot of the really, really mean stuff, is Shoya. And the beginning of the movie kind of hints at someone who's going through like a high level stress situation. He's withdrawing all of his cash and closing out his bank accounts. The calendars have been like all torn, all the days past, I think, one specific day. There was so there's a lot of these indicators. Oh, and then he left money in a note for his mom. So obviously there's certain things going on.
Yeah.
And the idea is it's a story of atonement. Not necessarily him. I don't want to say not him needing to atone. More of atonement plays a big role in the story,
Really?
but not directly.
Oh, yeah, okay. Interesting. You know, I was like, I'm glad we're talking about a movie like this because it does not directly say what it's like. How do I put it? Like, you know, an anime like okay, I haven't even really watched much of it, but what's it called? Evangelion.
Evangelion.
From the things I've seen from that show, it gets into deep philosophical, conversations, but they're very like on the nose about like what you're supposed to be thinking about this philosophical thought. Does that make sense? Like they're talking deeply about it as if they're philosophers. So it's like this movie is so real, like it's so slice of life, like even for someone who like I don't know much about the daily Japanese life. I'm just a fucking stupid American. So I don't know, but even as a dumbass American, I was just like, holy shit, this was me in middle school. Like their representation of 90s middle school, or I'm sorry, elementary school was like, I could not believe how much I was relating to like the characters. I was like, holy shit, like this feels like something I haven't seen.
It's one of the reasons I'm such a big fan of slice of life is because it makes me remember and takes me back, and any form of art that I feel like can evoke memories the first time you're watching it, that to me is really interesting in terms of what the writer has to do to be able to hit those emotional chords with you.
Yeah, no, it really was like it I don't know. I couldn't quite grasp what it was doing. It was just pure nostalgia. You know what I mean? I guess is that like the second it was near the beginning when Shuoko comes in for the first time, and I'm gonna say Shoko. I'm just gonna go with Shoko.
Oh
like,
yeah, it's
as
Shoko.
if there's no
Shoko
U.
and Shoya.
Yeah, because I know it's Shouko, so it's like Shoko.
Oh no, that's Shoko. At least on this website, that's how they.
Wait, really? Oh, because the one I was
Yep.
looking at, yeah, on the one I have, it's Shouko, like Shouko. Anyway, doesn't matter. Shoko. Uh, when she shows up for the first day of class,
Shoko.
Shoya is sitting at his desk, and he's like, he fully extends his...
The lead in his pencil.
Yes, the
how
lead
how
in
is
his
that
pencil?
not the most relatable thing of it's like, oh, shit.
And then him slowly trying to get it to retract back into the pencil. I was just like...
It's those subtle nuances.
I was immediately hooked. Yeah, no, it's interesting because I didn't... You say that was him... A lot of the movies, kind of the theme for him was like atonement.
I think the idea that he felt he had to atone was a motivating
from his own
factor.
personal.
I keep bringing it down. So here's where I'm now settling at: is I feel like him starting his journey was going to be a journey of atonement. Like that was initially what he thought he was going to have to do.
I thought he was just going to kill himself.
Make up for what he did. Right. It was going to lead up to that. He was going to pay back his mom for the wrong that
he kind of wanted to do what he could before he...
even said, he even mentions when he apologizes, or I think when he apologizes, it might have been a monologue, but he mentions how he wanted to make sure he could make things right with her before he did it. Yeah. So to me, between that and his mom... Okay, this is him trying to atone and make right how he feels he could.
Yes.
But then he gets caught up in what is, I will say, great fucking parenting.
Yeah.
I was really happy to see her like, oh wow, this on top of I caught that you were your room is clean, which like damn, how messy was your room, boy?
Yeah.
But two, you know the you cut off your phone bill. Good.
Well, not just
Good
that.
parenting.
Didn't he sell everything? He sold everything.
Yeah, he sold that. That was the other thing that I was gonna say. Was he also sold everything that he had?
Yeah, like clear signs.
More of that money.
Yeah, but also clear signs of someone who's
Something
about
going on.
someone who wants to commit suicide or has very deep depression. You know, showing signs of that. What I had to kind of keep reminding myself is that there is such a different relationship with suicide in Japanese culture. You know, it's not night and day. It's not like they consider it something different. But my my main idea was that like I would never see. I feel like you wouldn't see an American-made Hollywood film handle suicide the way this movie does. It feels very uniquely Eastern.
I think the story was. Again, I think the way it's able to relate, and I don't know if maybe it's our...
Oh, no, it's a worldwide kind of relation, for sure. Yeah, it's just the way that they have those kind of candid conversations. Like, I love how she kind of tricks him into admitting it.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, that feels like a joke that would not fly in America.
Yeah.
But again, like, it was kind of for comedic effect, which is... It was hilarious. It's just like, I knew something was wrong, and he's like, oh, fuck. Like...
Yep.
The nonchalantness of it was pretty good. Just like, yeah, well, you know, I was just kind of unhappy about things. Oh, wait, fuck.
Yeah, it's just like, what? You think you're going to get... Oh, dude. It's like, you stupid.
Yeah, and that's what threw me off at first. I was like, wait, is this just going to be this nonchalant about it? And then when the mom freaks out, I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Okay, that's... Okay. Oh, by the way, real quick, am I crazy or we never see the older sister, right? I think we see her legs at one point.
Older sister.
Exactly.
Older sister?
Shoya's older sister. Because that's not his younger sister that he's playing with. That's his sister's daughter. I know it doesn't make any sense and it has nothing to do with the story, but this is a real thing.
Wait. So that's why also at the end, when the guy stops by and she's like, oh, that's my son-in-law. And it's like, oh, that's it. And you never see him again.
I think the joke is that we were supposed to see the sister finally, but all we saw was the son-in-law.
And only from the waist up. Okay, that's hysterical, and I love that.
Yeah, so yes. Okay, so I'm not crazy to the point where you didn't even notice that there was an older sister. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I do remember the leg scene now that you're talking about. Because I was like, it's kind of weird that they're shooting this. I assumed it was the mom.
I did too, and I was just like, "Oh, is she naked from a shower?" And they're just kind of. I thought they were implying nakedness. You know what I mean? But I think the joke was they're still never showing this mysterious older sister, and then at the end they still never show her, and it's like, oh, okay, Jesus fucking Christ.
That's just a theory.
A neon theory. That's already copyrighted.
Neon. Matt Packett on that.
So, real quick, we should probably address the title of this podcast / video. Is this the saddest anime ever? No, probably not. Let's be honest.
No.
Right now.
But it is
goddamn.
really, really sad, and it hits you in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it has such a beautiful interpretation of. I mean, I can't even say interpretation because it's like it's literally growing up. It's a coming of age movie. You know, like going into it, I didn't know if there was a fantasy element or anything because I knew nothing about the film. You know.
You just knew it was anime, and with as many different animes I watch, you're like, this could be butt fucking
exactly.
anything.
I was like, there's a good chance it's slice of life, but it could also be kind of like magical elements.
Slice of madness.
Mitchell, there was not a single big boobalicious anime girl in this movie, and I gotta commend you for it. I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I appreciate it.
This movie had some real
class culture.
I texted Audrey while I was watching it, and I was just kind of like, what the fuck did he make me watch? In a good way. Let me remind you, in a good way. I was just so surprised because I was like, and I described it, and Audrey was like, is Mitchell okay? And I was like, yeah, I don't think you should. It's just a movie. Like, let's not.
I just appreciate cinema in this art form because I'll also say, the artwork is gorgeous and beautiful.
Yes, it is. It is really beautiful. It is very clean. It's funny because like I wanted to start kind of like I was like, okay, if I'm nitpicking this, if I'm a real cynical movie, you know, reviewer,
sinister.
Yeah, I'm a cynical whatever, cinnamon,
sinister,
cinnamon, Eminem. But let's say I did notice parts where I was like, okay, they're kind of cheating here, where like there was moments where like. It would be a still image and then they would kind of like fade in and out or have like text come up on the screen to kind of indicate conversations that were happening, but it wasn't quite them actually doing, you know, like little things like that. But it's not noticeable. It's not like you're like, man, they didn't even try. You know what I mean? Because it's so well done. No, it's okay. So we were talking about the school, like her joining school, and out the gate, they're not really bullying her. You know what I mean? It's kind of more of just fascination.
Yeah.
Some of them obviously have like ulterior motives out of the gate. Some of them are just trying to be genuine. Like, I was kind of getting lost a little bit. The beginning feels very fast. The first 20 minutes to half an hour kind of really go through a lot of things. And I wasn't surprised later to find out this is a manga. You know, so I'm sure school years were fleshed out a lot more. You know, because it did feel a little rushed.
I wonder. I feel like I keep throwing assumptions, but I also sometimes do that. I think because I've seen so many different animes. I wonder if they're using the fact that when you're a child, you get more highlights and glimpses of specific periods than you do the full memories that I feel you make day to day now. Not that, you know, we remember everything. But from that case, they were probably also trying to save time because it was already going to be a 2-hour movie. If they were doing a series, you know, maybe they would have gone deeper. Although I'm really interested to actually read the manga now and see how different it is. If there's any parts they did and didn't. So I'm probably going to do that. And then maybe we'll do a comparison review.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Oh, okay. I mean, okay. So this is obviously me being speculative. There's no hard evidence here. But from looking at the book series, the first 2 books out of 5? No, I'm sorry. The first 3 out of 6 are them in elementary school. So yeah, that's almost like half the story.
That is half. Okay, so Yeah, that does sound like then they condensed a lot of.
Which is fine. It didn't feel too off-putting. It wasn't. It was just.
I wonder if it's darker.
Wait, what'd you say?
I wonder if it gets darker in terms of like the bullying that happened.
Yeah, because that was the other thing that it never felt like he went far, and he did do some pretty fucked up shit that I mean anybody would probably be like, I'm out of here.
Which also, it's so crazy how they created a character, which right off the bat, you get that, oh, he's doing some kind of crazy stuff, and then you see him as a kid, and you're like, wow, fuck this. This is the main character. This is the fucking
Yeah.
guy you sent in.
That was an interesting just juxtaposition to jump through.
And the only thing that I'll say is, if this movie was about, a teenager, like a freshman or even sophomore in high school, that age and above, yeah, no, just fuck you. You're kind of a piece of trash if you're doing like that much. I'm not excusing it as a kid, but as a kid, it made more sense, and I can understand a character transition into comprehend, especially, dude, his mom got the shit, like, she got her shit, like, oh, dude.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, okay. So to complete the whole thought process, because I really jumped ahead there. To complete the whole thought process, starting with him and his mom.
Yes.
His mom had to pay for his actions. And that was one of the things that kind of led him, I think, to understand the gravity of it, even though he was still an asshole right after it happened.
Wait, what am I forgetting? What happened to his mom? What am I forgetting?
Remember when his mom met her mom?
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, yep.
And it was like, first off, she paid her all the money, and then second, like, she ripped her fucking earring out.
Yeah. No, I do. Yeah, I do remember that. Which was I did like the kind of it was almost like a let's see how you like how it feels, because he kept ripping her earpiece out.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it was an interesting kind of back and forth. Yeah, that was fucked up. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. I don't know how. Jesus. Yeah. You know what? There was something near the beginning that threw me off a little bit. Other than Shoko just kind of being a little too oblivious for my liking, I guess. Maybe not oblivious is the wrong word, but there was one part, and maybe you'll know what I'm talking about, that confused me. And thinking about it now, I think I understand what was happening. But there's a part where they're coming out of the school. This is when they're young. Sorry, I had this freaking tickle in my throat. Hold on.
A little tickle.
Ooh.
A little tickle.
Ooh.
A little tickle in your throat.
I don't want this tickle right now. Stop it. Oh, stop it.
He doesn't want this tickle right now.
Oh, stop it. No. No. So, no, there was one scene. They're coming out of the school. This is when they were younger. And she's following the group of boys, and they turn around and he's like, stop following us and all that stuff. And then she like hands him the notebook and he's just like, you're such a freak, and like throws the notebook or whatever into the pond.
Yep.
There was this moment where like it felt like he like passed out or something and then woke up in the pond covered in paper. And I was just like, what the fuck just happened? And this was so early in the movie that, again, I was convinced that there was still a fantasy element. So I was like, whoa, wait, hold on. I was like, is he really the girl the whole time or something? Or is he like,
is he a wizard girl?
It's like, is he time traveling or something? Or did he, like, I thought maybe it was like a butterfly effect thing where he was blacking out certain moments of his life. I was so confused. But then I realized a little bit later that was a juxtaposition between later when everyone kind of casts him out. Yeah. It was just the fact that it cut so quickly between those two things, and I hadn't set up yet I don't know. It just felt a little weird to me. I was just like, whoa, what happened? And weirdly enough, I Googled it, and multiple people on Reddit had the exact same question I did. They were just like, did he time travel or something? Like, what happened? And everyone's like, nah, you're looking too deep into it. It was just like a flash forward instead of a flashback.
Nah, it's just anime.
Yeah, I've never seen a movie flash forward. Anime is all I'm going to say. Like, I guess...
You're not watching the right movies, bro.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if I've said this. This was so good, though. This was really good. Like,
right?
Really.
Like,
good.
And I knew you were initially not going to be like upset that I picked an anime movie, but you're like, what could you have possibly picked? Like, it's probably going to be some kind of over the top ridiculous. But I was like, no, I gotta throw him with like a really sweet spot curveball.
Yeah. No, it's a good one, man. And like you said, I think like his own personal journey, I think he feels his atonement. But what's interesting is I think the actual kind of theme of the movie is that he didn't understand what atonement even was. Like he was so lost in his kind of state of depression and you know, which was fair because it's. I feel like the world kept pushing him down so much, even in moments of him trying to just do good, that you almost feel like, God damn, well, yeah, I would fucking give up too. Like every single time he tries.
Again, for someone who you're like right off the bat, like this piece of shit, I would kick his ass.
Yeah.
You're also like, oh no, man, it's
Well, the perfect. I was gonna say this a moment ago. I'm sorry, but it was about when you were talking about the bullying thing. What you had said is true, and I think it's shown perfectly in the movie by like when the kids are doing it. Yeah, you know they're assholes, and you're like, God damn it, like these stupid fucking kids. But then later in the movie, when Nuoko, is that her name?
Naoka. I think it's Naoka. Yeah.
Naoka.
I'm so sorry.
When she starts bullying her again, but they're like not adults, but basically adults, you know? It feels so awkward and weird, like way more awkward and weird than it did with the children. You know what I mean? Even though it's like the same level of bullying, maybe even less, it wasn't even as intense. It still felt more like, ugh, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's interesting how, like, as a kid, you don't really excuse it, but you can tell it's like a self-preservation thing. You're scared, you don't understand it. You don't want to have to, like, inconvenience yourself to try to figure out what it is. So your initial reaction is to just be like, you're weird, you know, and like, fuck you.
Yeah, put other people down.
Exactly. So, but I think the realest bully out of all of them, other than being, of course, I'm going to do this whole freaking time. Naoka.
I think it is Naoka, yeah.
Other than her, it is legit Kazuki. He is the biggest fucking bully out of all this, because he's the one that did all the same exact shit that Shoya did, but then was like, bro, you're a fucking bully. I'm out of here. Like, I don't even want to chill with you. We don't even listen to that music anymore, you fucking nerd. Like, you know, it's like, holy shit, dude. Like, you were and again, you could tell that that's him trying to deflect the fact that he was the bully and can't own up to it, you know. And I'm not saying that Shoya was innocent. Obviously, Shoya was super fucked up and was like almost kind of the leader of their little group, you know.
But he knew it was wrong, and like that's the thing is, Shoya kind of knew it was wrong, but also was so wrapped up in himself and what he had going on, he didn't care. Yeah, Kazuki, you could tell, knew it was wrong, but he was just like, you shouldn't do that. Like, he was calling it out, but then immediately doing nothing about it and still hanging out with somebody doing the thing that he would consider wrong, but then immediately being like, yep, I told him not to do it. Like, yeah. I mean, yes, that's true, but then you also didn't do anything to stop it once it happened.
No, and I think this movie is like brutally honest, you know. Okay, so I don't want to start skipping around too much in the story, so we'll kind of...
Also, I don't know if we need to put this... we'll probably put something in the front, but definitely spoiler alerts, because we're going to do the full movie review. But I'm sure we'll have that somewhere on the title screen. Joseph?
Yeah, I think so far we haven't said anything too crazy, other than like the girl... I don't know, I don't even think we haven't even said anything. So, yeah, okay.
Aliens win.
So maybe we'll just throw this up now. Spoiler warning from here on out, because we may start getting into nitty gritty stuff.
Yep.
So, okay. She leaves the school, you know, it's because of the bullying, and Shoya forever blames himself, and he becomes basically an outcast from his entire school, which is an interesting kind of main character. I don't know if I've ever watched a movie before that has this kind of sympathetic bully, like you were talking about. Like you're kind of like, this piece of shit, but then as he's getting older, you're like, well, he's not really a piece of shit. He was just a kid, and now he feels bad about it, and like
because he can grow again. If he was that way still as an adult, yeah, you have serious issues. And if that sounds like any of you listening, go talk to some. No, I'm just kidding. All of you are fabulous, most likely. Except that one's
most likely.
But yeah, so it's seen someone grow too. Again, I think that's something that I like the way that they did it, because again, it was very much like, we don't want you to like this character initially.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was a bit of a flip though, a catch-22, because they show him at the beginning clearly in a super dark spot, like you were saying. He's already, like, when they show him as a I mean, how old is he supposed to be? Are they in college? I don't know enough about Japanese schooling.
Okay, so he mentions to Shoko when they're older, oh, when's your birthday? And she goes, June 7th. And then he goes, oh, that's right. He's like, oh, I just missed it. He goes, well, you're 18 now.
Yeah, okay, yes.
So I'd say at the youngest, because he mentioned still being in school. Now he could be in college, but maybe he's 17. But I also don't know how entirely the ages work out with their grading system.
Yeah, see, that's also true. They might not have the same, but in our, maybe like a senior in high school, probably in our.
Yeah, it might be his last year before going off to college or the equivalent.
Yeah. So either way,
right now, I'm so sorry to sincerely.
But I really liked. So again, even though it is an anime, it does not go over the top with too much of even the expressions, even, people's expression. There's no
you don't
chibis.
have a lot of the the chibi versions or the heads getting like really huge when they're yelling and the exclamation points all over.
None of it. I don't think any of that happens at all. It's very toned down. You know what I mean? Like very realistic.
Again, anything written is meant to. It's almost meant to be symbolic of these words are very important. And less like you said what?
Yeah, right, exactly. And you know what? I did want to mention something, because while I said before it doesn't have a unique style, there is one thing about this movie that I don't remember seeing in a lot of other things, and I don't watch enough anime to fully, how often this pops up. But their portrayal of modern technology is fucking perfect. Like,
oh, yeah.
I've never, like, the way they interact with cell phones, the way there's one part where she has, like, her iPad. I think Yuzu has her iPod or iPad, and she has one of those, like, black, like, trifold screen covers that turns into a stand. And she's like, hey, check out this video. I got something to show you. And, like, flips it around, and it's animated so fucking beautifully. Like, it is so. So I will say, if there's anything that does stand out, especially in the animation, it's like something about their interactions with technology. I don't know why I noticed that. It's like the way the emails are written out is like exactly how I don't know, because a lot of movies get that wrong for some reason. It always looks weird. You know what I mean?
And I think it's one of the reasons, and here's where I will always go to bat for, especially Slice of Life. They do a really, really good job of, again, getting the subtle nuances of getting up, getting out of bed, taking a deep breath. Like, it's not just I'm running, I'm jumping out of bed, and I'm flying into my closet. It's, I mean, there's even like I think a Reddit thread on Aki's coffee routine on just how in the first like few minutes they just show this character in Chainsaw Man making a cup of coffee in his morning routine of having a cigarette and like how he goes about it, and it's just so realistic.
Yeah.
And it's something that animes do very well in general, but this one I think did incredibly well of, again, getting in conversation, the body language.
Oh yeah.
Because they just such a good job.
Yeah, the kind of direction they took with that animation was like really good. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Yeah, I think anime does lean into that a lot, where a lot of Western animation, like American cartoons and stuff, they don't bother with the little nuances of that. Like, they don't care about someone pouring themselves a cup of coffee, stirring in some sugar, milk, all separately. Like they're not going to waste time animating that in their eyes, quote unquote, waste time, But for something like these movies, realize that this is what sets up the world. This is what gets you into this vibe, this tone. Let's put you in a relaxing mood. This is this person's life. Let's get you in tone with their life. Because you really do feel on level with him throughout the movie. Like you feel like you are part of his life, even when you're with other people. Because I don't think it only follows Shoya. It kind of flashes sometimes between the other characters, like Yuzu and her sister, and Shoko and stuff, which I thought was funny, because when they first introduced that, when they're older, and she goes, so Shoya is now trying to rekindle his relationship with Shoko, which is kind of the atonement you were talking about. That's his main kind of goal, is to find forgiveness from her.
Yep. And feel like he's at least able to express how sorry he was, because I feel like initially it wasn't a romantic thing. I don't think it was just like, oh, I just want to get back with her. I think it was absolutely, he had felt so guilty and about what he had done, and again thinking that he had to atone in his sense, and then realizing, once he actually got to know her and treat her like the person she was, that's when he actually fell for her, which was again also a way where it didn't feel like, oh, it was a bully who got what he wanted. It was more of somebody who learned a lesson and was able to prove to someone that they had actually grown as a human.
Yeah, no, I agree, because I like how they didn't necessarily push the romantic angle even from a young age. Like they kind of had a moment where he looks at her, and I didn't fully understand what they were trying to imply. Maybe you can help me out here. And but at the very beginning, like near the very beginning, when she first comes into the class, she reveals she's deaf. It zooms in on Shoya, and then he opens his eyes. It shows a little clip of the video game he was playing at the beginning and shows a final boss. And then he goes, "Holy crap!" And I didn't what were they trying to convey?
I think that was more of him actually showing that he was initially not, he didn't care, to the point where he would interrupt her introduction because of that. That's how I had read it. Was it didn't matter what it was, he was going to find some way to interrupt her being introduced to the class.
But what was the video game insert? Why did they show that? I don't know. It was just a weird kind of, because I thought there was either two things I was thinking. One is either him having, because obviously before I even knew what this movie was about or where it was really going, I thought it was him realizing oh my God, I just had my first boner for a girl. I thought maybe that was him being holy crap,
Bingo!
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing. But then my second thought was maybe that's just him overreacting to her being deaf. This is his first struggle in life. It's a main boss. You know what I mean? He's just been gliding through doing it, and this is something where he's I don't understand this. Holy fuck! What is a deaf person? You know what I mean?
True. Yeah. Okay. So that would make sense. Also, I do see what you're getting at there.
Yeah. It's a bit of a stretch. I don't know. That's the best I could kind of come up with. But either way, I don't want to go back to the beginning since we're doing pretty good.
I'm putting out what you're packing up.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, don't forget to put a postage stamp on it, or they'll charge you double and send it back to you. So he ends up making a friend. Oh, I loved that's what I was going to get into when I said there isn't too much over the top animation stuff. While it doesn't have that, it does have those few kind of really interesting details. It almost reminded me of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Those kind of the X's over everyone's faces.
Oh, yeah, to kind of imply he couldn't connect with any of them.
Yeah, or didn't even want to, because I loved it was a perfect representation of, I guess I just have to say depression. It was almost a perfect representation of depression, where you're sitting in a room and you can blatantly hear, near later in the movie when he's he's in let's say high school, or early college, whatever it might be. You can clearly hear the girl say something like, "Hey, are you ready for the party this weekend? It's going to be so fun." But that kind of fades out, and then you hear him talking to himself, and he goes, "Look, he's looking over here again. Oh, he's such a freaking weirdo. Ugh, why would we ever talk to him?" And it's him making up these conversations that are happening
that aren't
around
actually
him.
happening.
None of them are actually happening. And I can't tell you how many times that I felt that so much, because I know that, especially in high school. I remember feeling that so much, where I would be sitting in a chair on my worst day, and I'd look over, and then someone would look over at me at the same time, and I'd be like, "Oh, fuck, they're talking about me." I knew it. I'm the fucking weird kid. I get it. Or some shit. You just start making up stuff.
Yep.
And I really liked that representation of the X's. And it's funny how even I I didn't understand at first, and then it wasn't only until it happened a few times that I realized that there was when they would show from his perspective, and he was always looking down. So like he would be talking to someone, and they would be looking at like their hands or like their lap, you know, and it would be like this kind of like first person steady cam kind of like shake to it.
Oh yeah.
And then later in the movie, there's a moment where he looks up at someone, and it's like, oh, like wow, he met eyes. And ironically, he does that again later in the movie, but it's what causes a whole inner turmoil again.
Yep.
But we'll get to that. So he does make a friend eventually, possibly inadvertently, right? Because he was just trying to be a good guy.
It's funny because my first thought, I mean, and I had watched this, I think it came out 2017. I think I had watched this in 2019 with Amanda.
Mm.
And what I'm pretty sure my first thought was then, and my thought now is, yeah, go punch that guy out. Like,
oh, the guy trying to get his
beat
bike
his ass
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and instead he gives him his bike, and I'm like, why don't you just kick his ass?
Yeah, and then it immediately cuts to, yeah, it was stolen.
Yeah, it was stolen. I was just like, oh. But again, it did a great job of making you feel for him. Again, to your point, even when he's trying, it's as if it's still working against him.
Yeah, but again, it's he's trying. I think
the right reasons.
Yeah, he needs to be trying for the right reason, because I feel like he's not trying for the right reasons at the beginning. It almost like he feels like he's doing it out of obligation. You know what I mean? Because
again,
like
for that atonement in terms of this is now what I have to do. When it's again, you do need to right your wrongs, but not through sacrifice and just letting yourself become a doormat,
a martyr. Yeah, they even say it later in the movie. Yeah, no,
yeah,
Naoko
exactly.
or Naoko calls him that.
Yeah, when she goes, I hate martyrs. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's the best word for it, is just allowing yourself to become a martyr and thinking, well, this is my existence. Because again, and the fact that he went to her to apologize, and accepting if she had said never speak to me again, then it is what it is. And
Shoko and Shoya both suffer very heavily from being a martyr. You know, they very much, even though
Shoko too. There's times where you're like, oh, stand up for yourself.
Yeah, exact. Oh my God. You know what? And I know this is a bit more of a trope when it comes to anime characters, so I don't really harsh it too much on this, but there really was moments where I'm just like, she is not a realistic, believable character to me. Like, do something, say something. Like, I know you're deaf, but say something. Sorry, but like, I don't know. There was just like moments where I was like, we won't get too much into it right now because I'm sure we'll get to it in just a moment. But like when they're on the bridge and there's the big downfall between the friend group, you know, we've already been in spoiler territory, so who cares? But Shoya starts lashing out at everyone. In that moment, I was like, so Shoko's gonna leave, right?
I felt that.
Shoko's gonna leave, right? Like, you're gonna leave, right? And that's gonna cause the big kind of turmoil for the movie. And it was like, nope. She just stands there and she's like, it's okay. And I was like, oh, come on. He doesn't deserve this. But again, she blames herself because she is also the martyr. So she's thinking he only did this because I'm the way I am. You know.
Yes, it because the way I am, it's led to the situation, which again was kind of being even fed to her by Naoka, of saying like, you broke up all of us, you ruined this, you ruined everything for Shoya, and again her, and I think the thing that made sense out of it was she had internalized so much that it's what led her to do what she had then tried to do.
Yeah. So yeah, we will get to that. But yeah, so he makes a friend. We got Tomohiro, hilarious, good guy with his Hollywood shirt. Love him.
Great supporting character.
He's the most anime of any of the characters in this. Does that make sense? Like,
yes, he's the one who's like for example, there's one point where this guy comes up and he's just like, "Hey, Shoya," and he puts his hand on him. And he literally takes his hand off and goes, "No, that's my friend."
And pushes him.
It's the only interaction that if any other character would have done, you would have been like, what are they doing? But the way this character is introduced, again, I think he is supposed to be a, I don't as much want to say a comedic relief as much as
a little bit, yeah. I would agree.
Because he is, but he's not like a full-on jester.
No, he's not like a goofball. I mean, he's a bit of a goofball, but he's not like, he's not a jokester, but he's
a goofball, but he's not a knucklehead.
Yeah, right. He's the perfect opposite of Shoya. You know what I mean? Like, he's like...
Exactly.
He's what he needed in that moment to pull him out of the shell he was in, put himself in. Well, maybe not even put himself in, but, yeah, I thought he was hilarious. And that moment is great, too, because that's when they all start hanging out. You have, like, Toshi and... Okay, so who... I felt like I missed something. I'm not going to lie. Mickey... Right, is that her name? Yeah, Mickey. Miki? Kiki? The blonde one.
Oh, Mickey. Yeah. Miki?
Mickey? One of them. I'm going to say Mickey. I'm white.
Okay.
I don't care. So, no. And she looks white, too, from this picture, so it's fine. So, what happened? She got her hair done, right? And then everyone's, like, freaking out, and he's like, what made you get your hair done? And she's like, oh, nothing. And then walks away and then whispers to him, hey, he said you're a pretty cool guy to hang out with. And it was talking about Toshi or whatever. And then, like, did I miss something? Like, what happened?
Here's my film. Here's my theory on that. And it might have also been rushed due to time. He clearly felt that, this guy that Mickey that Mama M was into, thought that he was a cool guy. So she was probably, and maybe in the manga they show a scene where she's like, hey, let's all hang out together, and then that way you can hang out with Shoko and I can hang out with Toshi and it'll be lit as fuck, fam.
You know what? I think you nailed it. That must be what it is. Because now I have to remember, this happens after he helps Shoko reconnect with Sahara, right?
Oh, yes, with
Miyoko.
Was it? Yeah.
Miyoko Sahara. Yeah, I remember her as Sahara. That's how they kept calling her.
Yes, because Tomohiro went with them to get Miyoko, and did they go with Miki?
I don't think they went. No, because she didn't know where to find her, but she knew he asked about it.
That's right. They asked her, and that's why they hung out once they were all back together, and they went out to meet. Okay, yeah, that's how it happened.
Yeah, okay. And I do like the idea of girls changing their hair when they like a boy, like how it literally happens like 3 times in a row in the movie, like within like 5 minutes, and it's like, that's pretty fun. Yep. So anyway, so the friend group slowly widens. We now have like 5 or 6 of the homeboys. We got a whole crew, We
got a squad.
We find out Yuzu is not a boy. It's a girl. By the way, that didn't get past me for 1 second. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I thought that the movie was just wrong, and I was like, well, they drew him wrong.
Right. Or this definitely did not translate correctly.
Yeah, because it was like, I don't. Is that really supposed to be a boy? And then when it was like, oh, I'm her younger sister, I was like, okay, all right. Now I knew it.
Which also the pinky thing, when she's like, oh, you didn't know, and then held her pinky up, and he's like, Pinky, your little sister. I was like, how the fuck does that? What?
Oh, doesn't he know sign language? I think he wasn't thinking sign language, but then it hit him once he did it. He realized it was sign language.
Oh, it was okay, because I was like, what?
Yeah, because at first I thought he was saying, yeah, believe me, I thought it was sexual. And then I was like, and then he said little sister, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, so yeah, I really did enjoy the friend group. I liked that moment. It made me very emotional, Mitchell. It made me very emotional when they were all hanging out and they are at the state fair. And he has that moment. It's actually that the moment you mentioned before where Tomohiro's like, hey, you get off him. He's my best friend. You're not allowed to touch him. You have to go through me. There's this, it kind of starts fading out and you look at Shoya's face and he's like, am I?
The first time he's full on like smiling.
Yeah, but he says, am I allowed to have this much fun? And like it hit me. I was just like, like I've been there. I know that feeling of like when you feel like you're not allowed to be enjoying this moment right now, even though all the signs are pointing to this is a great moment. You're like, do I deserve this? And then you just let yourself have it, you know? Yeah, that was a really, really beautiful moment. And again, but that leads to the later moment where he finally looks up at people, but then it so happens that Naoka brings him to the one person that he looks up to, and it's fucking Kazuki. And immediately the X's pop back up.
Everything gets shattered, and then his trust in her...
which never should have been reformed, by the way. I don't know where that came from. She should have been she's the one part that I understand that sometimes your friend group
86 from the whole ass thing after the fact. Yeah.
Like I get that sometimes your friend group has that asshole, you know, that just says it like it is, but she was just a little too far. Like that I just felt like I would not hang out with her. Why are they hanging out with her? You know, like that felt a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe they explained her having a crazy backstory more in the manga.
Yeah, or maybe she was a lot closer with them because she was friends. I think the implication that she was like best friends with Shoya when they were younger. I think that's the idea.
Yeah, like childhood. And my guess, she probably liked him. Although I don't want to make that assumption just for the sake of storytelling.
I would because I would say that that's the heavy implication from their interaction from meeting. Because, you know,
she's at the hospital every day that he's
and
out.
then she hides from him when he shows up and goes, I can't believe he actually came. You know, like that's very heavily hinting at... Because if she just didn't give a shit or just wanted to see her old friend again, she would just say what's up to him. You know what I mean? Like... And the way she kind of sits on his bike and is kind of playing with his feet. And so, you know, I think,
Yeah, like almost trying to actually be kind of flirty with him and then being confused while she's trying to diss.
Dude.
Yeah.
I love that moment. Even though it was super harsh, just him like, Naoka, get off.
I was proud. I was like, I'm proud of you.
He said it. I know, because I was thinking I never would have the balls to say that to someone, because she was like, maybe we should hang out sometime and catch up. And he's like, no, I don't want to.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because like I could never do it. Like if there was some like a girl or guy from high school that I was not very fond of or I didn't want to hang out with anymore came up to me and was like, hey man, we should hang out sometime, I would almost definitely be like, yeah, dude, absolutely. You know what? Hit me up. We'll do it. And then we'll just probably never hang out, you know, because that's how humans work. But I wish that I could just be like, no, I'm going to be honest. I don't think either of us want that. And that's okay.
We're allowed to not want that.
Yeah. Even though I know technically it's only because he was in a very depressed state. It's not because he was like found bliss or anything.
Right.
Yeah. It was cool seeing them be able to all interact and have that like, but yeah, it's, where did we just leave off? Hold on a second. Oh, right. Okay. So Shoya had just basically kind of fallen back into a pit a little bit because Naoka like pulled a fast one on him.
Yeah.
And Kazuki never really pops up again, right? That was just that moment, right?
Well, he does. He doesn't show up, but he's responsible for something towards the end. I don't know if you caught that or not.
I feel like I know what you're talking about because I remember a flash, like maybe once you say it. Are we holding off on that for now?
Yeah, we'll hold off on that. Once we get there, I'll bring that one back up.
Okay, so I do... Oh yeah, I did want to mention there's kind of implications, but they never outright say it, that her hearing is deteriorating, I would assume, because there's a shot of them showing her at the doctor's office, right? Then there's a scene of her in the bed, and I'm talking about Shoko, obviously. But she's in the bed, and she's like tapping her ear to see if she can like hear anything, and she can't hear like anything, and she starts crying because like the earpiece is out of her ear. What the hell? Oh, Discord chat came through. And then she stops wearing that earpiece entirely. So I might be wrong, but I thought it was like a really clever way without outright saying it, showing that her hearing is like deteriorating. Like to the point where she will slowly probably not be able to hear anything because she could kind of hear, you know, they say in the movie.
I don't know if I picked up on that, but that makes a lot of sense, like, looking back now.
Yeah, I think that's
And
why she stopped wearing both of them. Like, she only had the one.
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because remember the scene where, like, Shoya gives Yuzu the mini purse from the cat place where Naoka
Yep.
works at? And Yuzu runs in and she's like, what happened? What's wrong? Yeah, that's the scene like I'm talking about, because Shoko's kind of like, she has her earpiece out and it looks like she's like tapping her ear as if she's trying to like hear something, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I just really like how subtle this movie is about that type of stuff. Like it didn't need a cut to the doctor's office to be like, well, her hearing is clearly deteriorating. We'll have to keep a check on it, you know? And then like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's very...
I didn't have to spoon feed you the story.
And you know what I noticed too, and I don't know if you noticed this, but whenever there are moments where you're looking through Shoko's life and Shoya's not there, it's almost near silent, or you can kind of hear like heartbeats or like kind of like machinery. Like it's very like subtle sounds that you would only hear under like deafening, you know, like if you were to cover your ears or something. I thought that was a really cool detail, because it's near the end. There's a really stark one where it's like it's super loud and then it just cuts to a shot of Shoko like standing in the middle and it's silent. And then it cuts back to Shoya and it's like loud again. And I was like, whoa. Like sometimes you almost forget what that would be like. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because the movie isn't really about being deaf, you know, even though that is the, like her kind of ailment. And that's what caused the bullying child. You know what I mean? The movie isn't about like being deaf necessarily, or like coming to terms with being deaf, or not. It's almost more about everyone's personal trials and tribulations that span from minuscule to literally being deaf. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everybody has something kind of going on in their life, and it's really more about their relationships and how they grow than, being very specific, as you had said.
Yeah, because I noticed that too as it was going on. I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be more about him learning sign language, doing that, but it really wasn't. You know, that was just more of the backbone of their relationship, you know, and who she is as a person. And
also showing that he was trying to do things so he could make amends.
Yes, exactly. So what happens next? So he's still in a good place with his friends. They don't have X's on them. A lot of the schoolmates still do and all that stuff, but his immediate friend group is still pretty good, except for Naoka. She's still happy, and which I like that detail, that even later in the movie, she's still the only one like that'll walk up and have an X over her face. Yep. I think I'm kind of, I feel like I might be forgetting the middle a little bit. Does something happen with Yuzu? Something? No.
You're probably thinking of when he finds her in the play set.
Oh yeah, but that's pretty early on, right? That's before he.
That's early on in.
Which does show his genuine kindness. Like you can that's when it really shines through that he does care, no matter what, about certain people. You know, because like,
yep.
Yeah, he's doing it for himself, but also this is a person that like, while maybe he wasn't romantically interested in Shoko initially, like I think he kind of deep down knew that maybe something could be there. So when he heard boyfriend, it was kind of like, oh shit, you know. So I think even him being able to respect that and being like, hey, I'm not trying to, get up on your game. I'm just trying to make amends. It shows that he cares, but also it's interesting how he literally admits. He's like, yeah, I guess I am being a little selfish, and I think that's the moment that Yuzu's like, well, he's being honest, like maybe he is a good guy.
Yeah.
All right. We've been talking quite a bit. Maybe we should power through this a little bit. So we eventually kind of end. I don't know. It's hard to power through this, but I don't necessarily want to. But there's some inner turmoil amongst the friends groups here and there. He's finding himself. She's finding herself. There seems to be growth, but you can tell that there's this underlying there is that underlying sadness still, within them. And then I don't know. Do you want to skip to when they just kind of the group breaks out, or did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that leads to a lot of really good storytelling as well. So yeah, we can start at them all kind of getting together at, well, I guess the fallout, because we just talked about like them on the bridge, but we didn't talk about like how he kind of in his moment of, and this happens. I don't remember what the term for it was, but when we're in situations that we feel so helpless, we'll destroy things to feel like we still have control of something. Because to destroy something means you have some form of control.
Yeah.
And in that spiral of losing control, it became, I'm just gonna just call out things as they are. I've accepted myself. You did this. You did this.
Yeah.
And it's just point blank blunt with everyone to their face in front of everyone else.
Oh yeah, and it's a very harsh scene. It's no, I think everybody has, when you just kind of get pushed to a limit where you just say what's on your mind. Whether or not it's even really true, because like, yes, the things he say are technically true. They're not true in the context of just calling somebody out. Does that make sense? Where it's like, we all have our own issues that we're working through, and those are the things. Like maybe what he said to Naoka is true. You know, she sucks.
Yeah, hers might be true. But even like to Satoshi, where he says to him, you're an outsider, so you don't even know about it. Okay, if you just take it for face value of what it is,
true.
Yes, he wasn't a part of the group, so he doesn't know maybe all the ins and outs. But again, it's how you say that comes off as, wow, you're a douchebag.
And even the idea of like, because I would be like, okay, then why'd you invite me? You know what I mean? Then why are we even friends? You know what? Isn't the whole idea to learn about each other? And like, that's why I'm here. You know, I don't know. He definitely went overboard. And like the way he calls out Sahara for running away, Miyoko, you know?
Oh yeah. Cause again, it's like, all right, but like, damn, you're going to call somebody out. And then I just thought it's funny because then she leaves after, and I'm like, that must have been the most awkward time for her to leave.
Yeah, I know. She actually runs away. And I was like, oh, no, that's not good. What does he say about Mickey again, or Miki?
Oh, he says that she's like not that. What's it? She just kind of played like, oh, I didn't do anything. He's like, but you sat and laughed.
Yeah. That's
like
right.
you didn't do anything about it, but you're the first one to pipe up and say so and so is wrong.
Yeah. Which is true. Wait, no, that was Naoka who called her out for that. And oh, you know what? You're right, because I think that's when he goes, "You're both right," or something like that, and then he starts calling out everyone. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's what triggers the whole situation.
I will admit, there was a few things that, even though Naoka is a bitch, I agree with what you were just saying about Shoya with her, where there was moments where she was just straight up saying what was on everyone's mind, or what, you know what I mean, and was like, it was accurate. And like, those were a few moments where she wasn't being as quite mean. She was just saying what was bluntly true. But then she's such an asshole in every other time. It's like, well, you're not doing this to get everyone interested in the truth. You're just like trying to point out something to be an asshole, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so they end up all falling apart. And that was the moment I was saying that I felt like Shoko should have left, at least to let Shoya think more, because he just kind of looks up and he's like, so you want to go somewhere for winter break or whatever, or summer break? And I think the implication is what, that he had like a manic episode all summer break.
Okay, so this is what I think happened, and I think even Shogo kind of picks up on it. He feels so bad that he kind of drove the friend group that they had just created away, that I'm going to dedicate my entire summer to making sure that she has fun and a good time and isn't alone, because he now feels responsible for the reason why the whole group of friends that they had can't hang out anymore.
Really? Because I took it as more selfish. I took it as his own, like, he couldn't stand the fact of being alone anymore, so he constantly needed their attention. He constantly needed to be, what are you guys doing tomorrow? We should definitely be doing this tomorrow. You know, like, I took it more as like, because he has that moment where he's like, well, things will never go back to the way they can be. They never can. Well, might as well enjoy it the way it is now, you know. And he kind of has this manic like break. I read it more as him being like overly clingy because he didn't want to be alone because he just literally drove
Okay.
everyone away, and now Shoko is the only person, and Yuzu obviously, that will show him any kind of interest,
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, but I can see your angle too, though, where it's like he notices that he's the reason she is now going to be quote unquote alone again, other than just with her sister. So he kind of wants to make up for it. Yeah, that's interesting. I guess there's two different angles on that one. But yeah, he basically like doesn't necessarily push her away, but I think he just kind of overwhelms her, both of them a little bit, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember. So what happens between this and the night of the fireworks? Not much, right? It's just kind of a montage of what.
There is a period where there's a really funny scene where they're like, "Come on over to help us make the cake."
Oh
And he's
yeah.
like, I don't know if I should be there, and he's making the cake. Oh, and I guess even before that, there's a time where, and this might be a little bit back, but he's taking Yuzu home, and the mom walks out and sees her, and sees him, and walks up, and he just gets the shit slapped out.
Yeah, that was great. Like, yeah, when he first drops Yuzu off at home. Yeah, he just.
Mom put hands on everybody. I have respect for her mom.
That was a great moment. Yeah. He didn't even question it. He literally just says, "I'm sorry." And I like that theme too of constant apologizing, and like how Naoka hates it. How she's just like, stop fucking apologizing.
It drives her crazy.
Yeah. But it's because she refuses to apologize for anything. You know what I mean? Like
she's the polar opposite, right? Where she is the very aggressive, and I think that's why it works with the dynamic of Shoko never responding to her, is because she is that opposite end of the confrontation spectrum of, I'm internalizing instead of externalizing it and blaming it on everyone else. Even though Naoka does kind of show that she acknowledges it, but I think she's just trying to convince herself that she wasn't as bad as she actually was.
Yeah, that's just growing up. You know what I mean? Well, yeah, you can't hear, so we just pointed it out. You know what I mean? Like that's like her mindset.
Right. It's like, that is not how
it's ridiculous.
She's like, you never try to understand from my point of view. It's like you
again, see, that was a moment that felt really real. Like she was being genuine, but the problem is she wasn't. It's like unself-aware. You know what I mean? Like it's
exactly. It's very unself-aware of like what that actually means in context of what you're trying to compare it to. But again, I understand. Like I see each one of these characters and go, I could see a real person acting like this. Like
100%. Yeah, like everyone. I mean, maybe Toshi's a little boring, but I mean, he's just supposed to be. He's literally just kind of the character that is the new friend. That isn't quite part of the group, but is good friends with one of the people in the group. Like, it's
in the manga. Like the first 3 chapters of them in elementary school. The fourth chapter is the entire rest of the movie, and then
it's just about Toshi.
5 and 6 are just about Toshi and being a fucking wizard.
Yeah, and it all leads into Lord of the Rings. Toshi was Gandalf.
Wizard Toshi.
So, okay, yeah, he makes the cake for their mom's birthday. It kind of makes it's kind of a peace offering, an olive branch. They're able to kind of mend the feud a little bit.
And then when he's just like, looks like mom's not gonna kill you, and then even Shoko's like, phew.
Yeah, like,
I was just like that was perfect.
Yeah, that was really good. And yeah, so then I think, even though I guess like part of me felt like it seemed really out of left field, it did feel like something was building up, you know what I mean? Clearly. And Shoko was being distant. She kind of over the summer kept getting more and more distant. Their grandmother passes away too. I almost forgot about that, which is really hard on Yuzu.
That I think that was the thing that we were like, doesn't something else happen?
And that causes another kind of turmoil with Shoko, and eventually it leads to the night of the fireworks. You know, they're out at a festival, and basically Shoko's like, well, you know, hey, I'll meet up with you guys later. I'm just gonna go do something, basically. And he's like,
oh, she said she had to go study.
oh, that's right, I have to go study. And
yeah, she said she had to go study.
and again, like, I know it's just a movie and it's setting up that scene, but it did feel so out of left field and so random for this moment that for him to just be like, oh, okay, bye. I felt like he should have been like, wait, where are you going? Like, we were just hanging out, like, really intently, you know, like, and now you're just like, okay, bye. But again, it's, you know, that's nothing. I forget why. Oh, Yuzu asks him to go get her camera from the apartment. Correct?
Yes, that's right. Yuzu asked to get the camera, so he's walking all the way back to get the camera.
Yes. Fireworks are going off. He opens the door, and he notices through the window that Shoko's standing outside looking at the fireworks, and she slowly starts stepping up onto the balcony. And that scene was really intense because obviously, like, you have that initial thing, you're like, oh, scream, and then you're like, oh, fuck, she can't hear, like, you know, it's like, oh no. And
but it creates such a crazy suspense. And then, like, I don't know about you, the first time watching it, I didn't know how that was gonna end.
No,
I had no idea.
I didn't know.
So yeah, big spoilers coming up.
Yeah, so I did not know where that was going. I was like, holy fuck. I knew something big like this was probably going to happen. It felt like one of these movies, you know. I was like, oh fuck.
Especially because it's all set up for him to commit suicide.
Yeah, exactly. Which I had that was my little gut twist idea. I was like, oh man, is it going to be her that really? So anyway, so she stands up on the balcony, and I don't know if this was on purpose. I think there's this little moment, it's a nice detail where she's usually really good at feeling vibrations, which comes into play a little bit later too. But she's usually really good at feeling vibrations, and there's a part where he's running through the kitchen to get to her and falls over a chair and knocks onto the ground. But I think the moment he does that, her foot leaves the ground to step up onto the balcony. So it's almost like this moment of he almost, like, even if she had kept her foot on the ground for like a second longer, she might have felt him fall and try to get to her, you know. But even that was out the window. Hey-o. So anyway, she gets up on the balcony. And homegirl jumps, dog. She straight up jumps, which was a motif throughout this entire movie. There was many cliff jumping moments. It's almost like the tie, the little tie throughout the entire thing. We have them jumping off the bridge to get into the water multiple times. When he's a little kid, he jumps off a cliff. I think at the literally beginning of the movie, all the kids are running and he like jumps, you know, off of the bridge.
Yup.
Yeah, so anyway, homegirl jumps, but he catches her. I was not expecting that. So this is it. We're officially spoiler mode. He catches her. He's pulling up. He's praying. He says, and there's a very emotional scene. He's just like, starting tomorrow, I promise I will do it. And this was where my gut, I was just like, she's going to fall. Because I'm like, he's having this moment where he's finally like reaching his term, like his peak of term, like he's praying to God. He's now what's bargaining. He's
pleading. He's bargaining.
Yes.
Anything.
Yeah, he reaches a stage of bargaining where he's just like, I will do anything, please. I will do anything. I will stop being the way I am. I will be more positive. I will, you know, and all my gut kept telling me, I was like, she's falling, because it's going to be this heart-wrenching thing where he finally wants to make a change because of this. He's realizing the love he has for her, what this means in life. Oh fuck.
And they're clearly setting it up that the way he's holding her is now with two hands, and he's starting to be lifted off the ground.
Yeah.
So, you know, bare minimum, he's not with his own strength pulling her up.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
But then you see her hand just kind of creep up onto the ledge. She grabs on, and you're like, oh fuck yeah, you have a moment of cheering. She pulls herself up, and then god damn it, he can't fucking hold himself, and he falls. And I was like, so here's where I will say the animation was beautiful. I love the shot of him falling into the water.
Oh,
you know?
Dude, it looked gorgeous.
And then he starts bleeding, and then he's like, it's cold.
Oh, and
it's
then you're
warm.
like,
and
you're
it's
like, oh wait, he just hit water. He's fine, right? And then you see this cloud of blood,
and you're like, oh no, wait, no, he didn't hit. And I knew there wasn't water down there, so I had a feeling it was just kind of like a visual metaphor, you know, but at first I was like, maybe did he go into water? Did I miss that?
That, or he hit, like, it was too shallow from the height he was at.
Yeah.
He hit the bottom, and then he was still just in the water floating.
Yeah. But again, the only...
So this is the part.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you know who pulled him out of the water?
Oh, that was Suzuki. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it was Kazuki and the other kid. So
Suzuki.
that's something Naoka says towards the end is they didn't want me to tell you, but they're the ones who pulled you out of the water.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Because I caught that line and I was trying to think of what she meant. I was like, what does she mean? And then yeah, that's right. So he was kind of the big reason he survived, which is okay. You know what? You're right. That is a good kind of workaround for, even though he doesn't really pop back up much later, I don't think. It's a nice little bookend for his story.
It ties itself back in, at least from the storytelling perspective.
Yeah. And then I honestly, at this point, I was like, where's the movie going to go? Is it just going to end? Like, I didn't know, like, when he fell, I was just like, oh shit. I was like,
right. Is that it?
Yeah.
He ended up sacrificing himself instead of committing suicide to save
but that was
her.
not satisfying because that's still a martyr. Do you know what I mean? Like, that still felt like he didn't.
Right. He then still has to die a martyr instead of getting to actually live past the mistake, which I think is also an important lesson.
Yeah. And then it would also feel like Shoko never got to learn anything because now her boyfriend basically died.
She's responsible for.
Yeah, exactly. It's her fault.
Yeah.
But she does have an interesting. She's almost too pure of a character. It's why it bothers me. It's like she's, but that is kind of the point, I obviously, but a little later, like after he wakes up, and actually, I don't know if it's after he wakes up, but I think it's actually when Shoko is crying in front of Shoya's mother. And she like gets on her knees and she's like crying outside after the mother like stops her from Naoka trying to like bully her and shit. Which was a great scene too, when the mom just comes out and starts slapping the shit out of her, and it's like, God damn.
She's like, that's it. I'm beating the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And then she starts talking shit to the mom. I will say, the second that Shoko's mom went up to Shoya's mom and got on her knees to bow, I don't know why. I immediately went into tears.
Really?
Watching it the second time.
You really?
That is the part.
You know what? It took me an extra second.
For some reason.
It took me an extra second, because you know what it was for me? It was that same exact scene, but it wasn't until the mother couldn't hold herself together, because to me, being an American, we don't have the same association with bowing as other cultures do. You know what I mean? So I was almost looking at it the same way she was, where I would feel too humbled. I'd be like, please stop bowing. You know what I mean? Like, please, for the love of God, stop bowing. Like, I don't like this. But then as they keep doing it and she realizes they're doing it,
making you do that.
Yeah, I would be like, please. But then as they keep doing it and she realizes that it's all just out of respect and they're just like, she starts breaking down, and that's when it hit me. And I was like, I was almost in tears, like literally like swelling up. So yeah, no, I get that. That was a harsh moment for sure. Especially from such a twist from the beginning. Not twist really, but such an arc, from the mother's relationships.
Such a character development.
Yeah. So he wakes up and there is kind of a shared dream. That's the only part that really kind of has a fantasy element in this, is there's a few shared dream moments.
Yeah,
but that's not really
I was
fantasy.
actually talking to Amanda about that when I watched it.
Yeah, you noticed that too, where it's like...
I actually said, I was like, did I miss something? And then realized this most likely was supposed to be, again, them both having a dream of talking to each other, them seeing the situation, and running to the same place. And I'll say, for the anime storytelling, and maybe this is just my bias, I understand it, especially for how they had done the movie. I do think it's kind of one of the only things that, and maybe there was something I'm missing, and if you know what that is, go ahead and drop it in the comments. But it was the only thing that I felt like was kind of like, you're just going to kind of take this one. and just kind of roll with it.
You
and
mean them?
you're just like,
You mean them
okay.
just running into each other, like him leaving the hospital and running into her there or whatever?
Yeah, because even just there's no alarms that go after somebody who's been in a coma pulls all the cords off of his body, and
You know what?
he just walks on out.
happened in quite a few movies, though. I feel like so. I don't know. Maybe maybe they really don't notice. But I also felt like it was the middle of the night. I think the idea is they both woke up at like 2 or 3 in like 3 in the morning or something. But well, no, the sun was up, wasn't it?
But you mean to tell me there's a hospital where there isn't like
Security.
staff? Because again,
Yeah.
if he's in a coma,
Yeah.
he's got to be in a unit where there's 24-hour staff. I'm just in Vegas. I'm
Yeah, it should
just
be fine.
spoiled.
Yeah. We don't know what Japan's healthcare system is like, man. They might just toss you in a room and say,
go
"Good
ahead.
luck. You're in a coma. Good luck." You know. No, yeah, there was. You do kind of have to suspend disbelief there, a little bit. But I think the movie rides that line pretty well, where you never feel like anything is too convenient, because like I even said, them kind of having that shared dream, and then I didn't even really question the bridge thing because the bridge is such a connecting factor throughout the movie that they always go back to,
Like that, it's a theme. It's like its own theme in the movie that a lot of the progression happens there.
Yes. A lot of the times they meet up with each other is always at the bridge. A lot of like the biggest moments, like the breakup with the group, them first coming together, like those are usually on the bridge. So yeah, I wasn't too surprised. And there, but yeah, the what I was mentioning before is she's like leaning up against the thing, and then he taps the bar, like he goes to hold it, and then when he does that, you almost get this kind of like kind of sound effect, and then she kind of like looks up. And I think the idea was that she felt him grab the bar, and that pulls her out of like crying, and she sees him there.
Yep.
And yeah, I like those little details because I think that's very accurate, at least from what I understand. For deaf people is like they're very keen to vibration. That's mainly what they kind of like run off of when it comes to quote unquote sound. So there was a few moments in that where you could tell she was like feeling vibrations of things. I just thought it was really cool. It's a cool little detail that they never really point out,
Oh yeah, no, the movie did such a good job of the subtle nuances, the little things that they don't need to spell out for you.
Yeah, no, it's such a small little and again, it is 2 hours. It doesn't really feel that long. It's a pretty quick 2 hours, The pacing after that first half an hour is like perfect. Like I was just sucked in. I was like every scene, but like I said, there's something about that first half hour that feels so like it felt like a TV series that should have been 3 episodes. Like let me like learn about these kids and like the teacher, like why was the teacher such a dick but also not? Like I didn't know. Like are we supposed to respect
like
the
he
teacher?
was a dick, but then like when he was actually needed to step up and call out like then he did, but it wasn't anytime during that he probably could have intervened.
Yeah, and you could tell he felt inconvenienced by Shoko as well. Like he was just as much of like an asshole as a lot of the kids, because he was just kind of like, ugh,
he wasn't doing her any favors.
No, yeah. Especially the fact that it literally introduces a new girl who's deaf and then proceeds to teach a class without writing a single thing on the fucking board. It's like, you just introduced the girl as deaf. Are you going to do nothing to try to... Like, one of the girl has to go out of her own way to help her. Do you know what I mean? Like, that felt fucking dumb.
He even says to her, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah.
And then it's quiet. And then he taps her on the shoulder, and I was like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, I didn't know if the idea was he didn't know. My only excuse for that was maybe he didn't know she was deaf yet. Like, maybe he was just told, hey, you have a new student, and, like, she'll be entering your class. And he wasn't told, but I would think he would know, like that's kind of the thing.
That
was a good scene though.
maybe they explain that in the manga.
Maybe we'll have to do that. Goddamn shit, man. We talked the shit out of that movie.
It's a 2-hour movie, like an hour and a half.
Yeah, literally. You know what?
And again, we didn't even go into as much detail as we could have.
No, I had to stop myself.
We covered the ending though, right?
Pretty much, right? I mean, that's them. They rekindle, and then. Oh no! Yes. We should talk about the ending because it's so beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, before leading into the ending talk, I don't know if you noticed, but I think there's literally a soft piano playing the entire movie, and I don't think it loops at all. Like, I think it's legitimately like the piano is like playing along with the movie as the entire movie is playing.
Oh, there was actually one thing I was going to say is there was a lot of specific, I'd say, high level emotional scenes where the movie then doesn't use any music in the background.
Yeah, no doubt.
At a time when you normally would, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, the music is very subtle in this movie, and that's why I was saying I only noticed soft piano at parts, and like until there's swells, and especially near the very end where while he's in the coma, Shoko kind of reconnects with everyone. By the way, I guess we should mention that, even though most people watching this probably already know, especially if you're this far in the video. But she reconnects with everyone, so that's how they all kind of reconvene. And they're at the festival again, and he kind of asked well, I forget, aren't they at like school?
So this is what happened. He comes out of the coma. He sees her. They have their situation that we talked about on the bridge.
Yes.
And then the next, I'm going to say day. I don't know how much time has passed.
Yeah.
But he goes to school, and he tries to walk in his classroom, and then he gets freaked out and runs away. But homeboy, Tomohiro, the real hero,
yes,
he realizes that he was just in there, chases him down. Friends follow shortly after. But he finds him in the bathroom, and he kind of opens up the stalls, and Shoya is looking down.
Yes.
And he's like refusing to look at him because he feels like embarrassed for how he had lashed out at everyone prior. And then he's kind of like, why don't you look at me? And he finally looks up, and he sees he's actually crying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a pretty intense moment.
And I think it's then he realizes that, other people do really care about me, and they don't just, again, it's that thought that everyone hates you the second you walk away from them.
Yeah. And then everybody I think, so Naoko comes back, right? And then she's just still being an absolute fucking ass. I can't remember what she says, but I just remember being like, really? He almost died. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's still being kind of toxic, but the one thing then that she does is she says moron. She does it wrong.
Oh,
but
right.
She says it to Shoko, and it's kind of like, she's actually gone out of her way to learn sign language to at least communicate with you now.
Yeah. And it was a kind of cute moment because it felt like it gave Shoko the chance to call her a moron too, like
because that was really where she was like even laughed at it, and where Naoka got like embarrassed and kind of ran off.
Yeah.
But it was also, I'd say, giving Shoko the victory overall of being nice and passive won the situation there.
Yes.
And maybe that is a part of it too, is like another little unsaid kind of theme.
I would also say though to not be too nice. I think that's a good thing the movie kind of hammers in too, where it's like
also true, yeah,
don't let people step all over you just because it's not the nice thing to do.
Which also, funny enough, the only person that Shoko ever fights back against is Shoya when they're kids.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And she beats the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, that's
like
true.
It cuts out with her she's doing it softly, but like her throwing fists at his head. And it's the only time she's ever lashed out.
Yeah. They do feel a little ginger, but yes, she's going ham.
Oh yeah, they're not doing anything, but she stood up for herself to him.
Yeah. She's not entirely just all trampled on, even though I'm glad that they did include that scene, because if they didn't, it really would have felt near that beginning like, man, she really needs to stand up for herself a little bit. I mean, like, or take the hint. Like, that was the thing I was starting to kind of get. Like, I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I know they're just kids, and like she's just trying to be nice and make friends, but like after the 5th time of this kid pushing me in a pool or something, I would have been like, okay, no friend. Not
no friendo.
Yeah, no friendo.
I'm gonna talk to people that are nice to me.
Yeah. So Yeah, so anyway, then he says, like, can you guys do one last thing for me? And then I think he just wants them to go to the festival with him again. Like, he just wants to relive that day, basically, is what it felt like. Is like that first day he was able to open up, you know?
Yep.
Felt like almost kind of like he wanted to relive that, but then have this kind of like reaffirmation of life. And yeah, when he goes out into the world and everyone around him, all of the X's, you know, you hear the music swelling up.
Yup,
and then they just
dude,
drop.
that felt so good. I don't know why, but it felt so good for me.
Yeah, and the music was super satisfying. It was such a nice hit. And then, and then he's just in tears. And it brought a lot of shit out of me. There was something about seeing it, and he just can't stop. He's like wiping tears, and but you can tell they're not sadness. It's just finally, because I don't think he really cried the whole movie. There was really only a few parts where he was like emotional like that. And it was almost like his body letting him just let it all go. Like, he could finally feel again. You know, it was like, holy shit. Like, it was really emotional. I'm not going to lie.
But yeah, beautiful. So what are your final thoughts? Especially compared to before you went into the movie and now having seen it.
No, I honestly, it wasn't quite what I was expecting because I didn't know what to expect. I guess that's kind of the main thing. But really good. I love this kind of slice of life anime, especially if it's going to be movie form. Like, give me that sweet apple pie slice of life, baby. But yeah, no, this easily an 8 out of 10 for me. That might change. I think I might rewatch it, to be honest, at some point, and kind of pay a little bit more attention to certain details and stuff. But so my rating may change, who knows? But for now, yeah.
Do you think Audrey would watch it?
Maybe. I think there's a better chance than not. Because
now that there's somebody else to vouch for it, not just me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Yeah, I might be able to. But yeah, no, I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10, a B. Maybe even a B+. We'll go leaning more towards a 9.
I'll take it. I'm going to give it a biased 10 out of 10. Now, this doesn't mean that I think it's better than any movie that's ever been a 10 out of 10.
No.
I just think for what I expect out of a movie, and even in terms of going into moments of exceeding my expectations, it hits everything that I would want out of a movie.
I do not fault you for giving this a 10 out of 10 at all. It is a movie that I could tell could really, really resonate. I wish I saw it or could have seen it when I was like a teenager. I think it would have been a really insightful...
Could you imagine the impact? I told Amanda, since you found out in the last episode I'm going to be a father, that I was like, if our kids ever start thinking like they're going to bully kids, I'm like, you're going to sit down, I'm going to make you watch this movie 10 fucking times in a row.
You're right. Yeah, it is a very good moral lesson in it. Like, but without drilling it into you. It's not like a Disney movie that's like, everyone must be nice. You know, it's yeah.
I'll turn you all to mice.
So, all right. So yeah, we got a solid 8.5 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10 on this for A Silent Voice. Good choice, Mitchell. Good choice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, so that means, what is my assignment?
Yeah. So it is my turn. So we have a little bit of short notice this time around because we recorded this episode a little late. So technically,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So technically, we only have like a couple days. We'll say, I'm not going to reveal all of, I'm going to say how the sausage is made or anything. Well, but we have a shorter amount of time. So I don't want to make it too intense for you to find. So this one's actually going to be a new one that just came out on Netflix, but me and Audrey already watched it. It is the Glass Onion.
The Glass Onion. Okay. I haven't seen it. I think I hovered past it today, but I didn't look any bit into it.
Okay. So have you seen Knives Out?
No.
Okay, so it is technically a sequel to Knives Out, but it has none of the original characters except for one, and it's an entirely different story. So you don't have to see the original. Actually, even Audrey didn't see the original Knives Out, but she watched this, and she really enjoyed it too. But that's all I'm going to give away.
Okay.
So, yes, Glass Onion, it's on Netflix.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, goddamn. You know what? I have a new title. This is going to be called Two Guys Talk About a Silent Voice for a Long Time. I think that's the new title for this video.
Just make sure you put anime girls in the thumbnail, and
Oh,
we'll have a million views overnight.
Of course, but they can't have boobies though because then they'll know it's
Royalty-free
misleading.
anime girls.
Oh, there's got to be a website. $1 million idea right there.
Oh my god.
All right, but thank you guys for listening. If you're interested, please join the Neon Valley subreddit. It is r/Neon Valley Pod. Also, check out the Discord in the link if you want to drop us any questions, ask us anything we can answer in the next episode. Mitchell, you want to say anything to the people before we go?
No. Just thank you so much. We appreciate you, you beautiful, wonderful people, and even the ones that aren't beautiful, the ones that are extra.
Oh, they're beautiful on the inside, I bet. I know Mitchell's new song is coming out January 1st.
Yeah, January 1st. Follow me on Instagram, Tsuku, LAWDTSUKU, and check that out. It's gonna be a hot fire.
Have a good one, guys.